on, guys? It's Agcore from the OSA, and we're getting ready for the Keep On Reefing Expo, April 28th. But today we are at Agcore Technologies, and you guys want to talk about algae and spirulina? Check what we got going on. Meet Larry Dressley.
How you doing? Welcome to Agcore. So again, welcome to Agcore Technologies. I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. We are inside a 5,200 square foot greenhouse, and we're growing inside of these clear tubes. Inside of these tubes, we have an algae product, a phytoplankton called spirulina. And spirulina feeds off of carbon dioxide, nutrients, water, and sunlight. And the sunlight, that's why we're in a greenhouse. And every day, we have biologists that will come in here and they'll analyze a variety of our different tanks. And we're measuring density. The denser it is means the more product we're going to get out of the tank. So they'll gather that data, we'll make a decision on what we're going to harvest, and we'll harvest about 30% of our crop each week. And come back the next week, the crop is back to where it was. So unlike conventional crops like soybeans and corn, you plant that in April, you harvest that in October, and you get one harvest. We're harvesting virtually every day.
How'd you get into this?
It's a long story. I'll try to wrap it up in a couple of seconds, but it's about a 30-year story. I grew up in a family business that was involved in agriculture. We sold that business around 2000, and I fell in love with biodiesel, which is a renewable energy. So I needed a feedstock. Usually they use vegetable oil, such as soy and canola, and I decided to do something different, and I wanted to start growing algae, because algae is fast growing. It has very high percentages of vegetable oil. So I raised money in 2010, built my first greenhouse, and I was technically in the algae to energy business. But then this country found fracking, the price of fuel went down, and I made a pivot. Algae is made up of vegetable oil, lipids is the fancy word for vegetable oil, protein and carbohydrates. And so I made a pivot, and I went after the protein side of the business. And when I started analyzing it, I fell in love with spirulina from a nutrition standpoint for humans. And I originally was going into that part of the business, and then someone found out what I was doing, and they said, oh, I need spirulina for fish food. So I started getting involved in aquaculture and started getting into the hobby. And one of my employees is a hobbyist from being a little kid. So he kind of got me into it, and actually, Scott, you got me into the whole thing too. I went to visit you, and I said, all right, I'm growing spirulina, what can I do with it? And we do a couple of really cool things here, is we'll take the spirulina, and what we do that's so much different than everybody else is we grow our spirulina, and then we use the, we call it farm fresh spirulina, so it's right after it's harvested. It almost looks like pudding, and we add in our other ingredients, mix it together, and we have an enrobing process, and then we dehydrate it at low temperatures. The reason why we dehydrate at low temperatures is so that we don't damage the amino acids or any of the nutrients. Also, many of our competitors that use spirulina, they're getting it from overseas, and it's already a dry product, and it's an old product. Ours is the freshest product in the industry. So we're really taking this, literally just harvested, adding in other ingredients within a couple of hours, and making the finished product. And we're making a very nutritious, healthy product. We're the first company to really come up with a full line of grain-free products. So grains meaning wheat, corn, and soy. And one of our big niches is that we created grain-free food. So as I mentioned, we take the farm fresh spirulina, we add in other ingredients such as Untitled krill, fish meal, shrimp meal, fish oil, and a whole host of other different types of ingredients. And we like to say our product is limited ingredients because we don't have a lot of the fillers that are involved. And so we have a process where we'll actually extrude it. This is our spirulina sticks. We'll actually extrude it and make a nice fish food for both aquaculture and the hobby industry. We can then take some of our ingredients, make it into more of an omnivore type product. Well, one of my favorites is our product called Crisp. And this product is literally just Untitled krill, spirulina, with a pinch of garlic. And there's nothing else in there. It makes for a great fish product. It takes a little time for the fish to acclimate to it, but it really is catnip for fish. we were putting them into these nice boxes, but customers were saying, nice box, but we can't see what the product looks like. So we actually listened to our customers, came up with a new jar type product, and you can actually see the product inside. And this is something that we're just rolling out now. SPS and LPS coral powders, and also made with zooplankton, phytoplankton with our spirulina, and also brine shrimp and pods get in there. We have a couple other nice ingredients in there. 100% spirulina powder. People will use this to feed to the fish, especially fry, and if they're breeding their own brine shrimp or pods, they'll feed it this. And then we started something brand new where we're actually making live feed. And we did this maybe about 9 months ago. And what's cool with what we're doing is since we're growing the live spirulina, we feed all of our stuff live spirulina. So it's not going through the drying stage, which is a little bit harder for them to consume. Also, the cells are a little bit smaller, so the brine shrimp can do it. And we like to say our product is gut loaded with our live spirulina. So we actually are growing a Artemia, a brine shrimp, that's gut loaded with our spirulina. And then we also have Tisbe copepods. Again, all being fed with our live spirulina. And then, I don't have it right here, but this is our phytoplankton.
So where are we now?
We're in our second greenhouse. Actually, this was our original greenhouse. Again, 5,200 square feet, and we've redesigned everything. We got 200 tanks in here, and come back. I'll show you how we're growing some live feed. To our live feed area. We started off with the live feed. I was trying to figure out, okay, what else can I use spirulina for? Not just for human nutrition, not just for fish food, and doing some research, I see it was a main staple of brine shrimp. And I remember brine shrimp from when I was a kid with the sea monkeys in the back of the comic books. So I started doing a little test. I had a 10-gallon tank, which became 2 10-gallon tanks, which became 8 10-gallon tanks. Then I finally decided to talk to my team. I said, this is something I think we should do. It's really taken off with the live spirulina. And we converted some of our grow tanks that were some of our older ones. And now we are actually growing a variety of live feed. First 5 tanks is strictly brine shrimp. The next 5 Tisbe copepods. And these tanks hold, these first 5 hold about 70, 80 gallons. We just had a couple of large orders go out, so we're now down to about 50 gallons. But we'll slowly but surely build these back up. And what's also cool that we're doing is we're creating a really interesting environment where the brine shrimp will bring them all the way up to adults, which takes about 22, 23 days. And then they're live birthing. So we're not really going back to cis on a lot of these tanks. But we're growing the Tisbe copepods in here. And one of the cool things that we realized, and it was really by accident, is we got some of the brine shrimp in with the pods, and the pods really seemed to flourish. And that's because they were actually consuming the detritus from the brine shrimp, and we create a little bit of an ecosystem with the live feed being consumed by actually both the pods and the brine shrimp, mostly the brine shrimp, and then the waste, the pods were consuming that. And with this ecosystem, really everything took off. Scott, we're really kind of not much different than what you do. I just have 425 giant fish tanks, and where you're usually trying to kill algae, I'm trying to grow algae. But at the end of the day, it's aeration, I'm checking nitrates, I'm checking ammonia, and I feel like a lot of times I'm in the water treatment business. So for us, we bring in water from the reservoir, and we put them into these black tanks just to keep the sun out, so we don't build up any algae. We have our level device that'll tell us where we're at. When the water comes in from outside through this pipe, it goes through a filtration process, and then will come this way. When we're ready to use it, we run it through another filter through this UV, and it will go into this 300-gallon conical tank. And this is where we'll put in our nutrients. We're going to put in some of our sodium bicarbonate. We're going to put in our nitrates. We mix it, and then we pump it into the tanks. The other thing that we do that's really cool is we reuse our water. So we harvest, we drain out the water, and we test it. We sometimes have to adjust it, and then we reuse it. And Agcore is all about sustainability. It's a big buzzword in the food industry. It's a big buzzword in the agriculture industry. And with us, it actually takes about 2 parts carbon dioxide. It's actually referred to as 2 moles of carbon dioxide to make 1 mole of algae. So I like to say, like, we're one of the few people who actually want CO2, because of course we're using it in photosynthesis.
Next, what's the future of Agcore Technologies?
Well, usually when I have guests here, I like to explain to them that 2 years ago, we had 20 tanks. A year ago, we had 150 tanks. Right now, we have 425 tanks. And by the end of this year, we'll probably have somewhere around 475 tanks. Everything is going great, and we're just growing into our business as it grows. If you want to know more about Agcore products, see the different varieties, go to agcorefishfood.com. Look forward to seeing everybody at the variety of shows, especially Keep On Reefing.
Check out Agcore Technologies at the Keep On Reefing Expo, April 28th in Groton, Connecticut. And as always, guys, don't forget to like and share. I'll see you guys later. Keep on reefing, baby. Woo!